The silence in the observation chamber was almost deafening. Outside, the alien fleet drifted in perfect formation, enormous and unyielding, a living testament to the power of the Valurians. Inside, humanity held its breath. The test had been completed. The demonstrations of ingenuity, courage, and adaptability had been made. And now, all that remained was the verdict of the alien queen. Ilara Kane stood at the center of the chamber, her tablet tucked under one arm. Her heart raced, but her mind remained clear. She had led her species through a challenge no human had ever faced, and now the moment of judgment had arrived. The queen's form appeared on the screen, larger and more radiant than ever. Her scales shimmered with colors that seemed impossible, shifting with subtle patterns that humans could barely perceive. Her many eyes swept across the human crew, assessing, measuring, calculating. "You have demonstrated adaptability," the queen said, her voice resonant and commanding. "You have shown creativity under pressure, foresight where others fail, and courage in the face of uncertainty. Yet understanding alone does not grant recognition. Why should I consider your species worthy of trust, of alliance, of a place among the stars?" Ilara stepped forward, her voice firm and unwavering. "Your Majesty, humans endure not because we are the strongest or the most perfect. We endure because we are adaptable. We survive because we think, because we act when others hesitate, because we cooperate when cooperation seems impossible. Our strength is not in our weapons or our ships, but in our minds and our courage. That is why humans deserve a place in the galaxy." The queen's eyes narrowed slightly, and for a moment, a ripple of light moved across her scales, like sunlight on water. "You speak well, human, but words alone do not demonstrate truth. You have shown your ingenuity through simulations and coordination. Yet a final test remains, and one of leadership, judgment, and human resolve." Adrian Voss stepped forward beside Ilara. "We are prepared," he said. "Whatever challenge you present, we will meet it together." The queen's gaze shifted between them. "Very well. I will not endanger lives, but I will present a scenario of unpredictability. A neutral system in this sector has suffered a catastrophic failure of its natural energy field. Its gravity is unstable. The planet is at risk of breaking apart. No alien system has yet solved this problem. You have one chance to stabilize it before it becomes uninhabitable. You may act as you see fit. Will you take this responsibility, human?" Ilara nodded without hesitation. "We will act." The chamber shifted, displaying the system in question. The planet hovered, fractured and trembling under the strain of unstable gravity. Cracks rippled across its surface. Energy spikes surged unpredictably, and the readings showed that even minor miscalculations could cause total planetary collapse. Ilara's mind raced. She studied the data carefully, noting patterns, variables, and anomalies. This was no ordinary problem. It was unprecedented, chaotic, and dangerous. But humans thrived in such circumstances. She turned to the crew. "This is our moment. We coordinate, we improvise, we act. Every idea counts. Watch the patterns, anticipate changes, and respond. We do this together." The crew moved with precision and purpose. Engineers rerouted energy flows. Analysts predicted chain reactions, and operators coordinated the systems in real time. Ilara herself manipulated the controls of the planetary stabilizer, adjusting energy pulses and gravity harmonics with careful intuition. Minutes passed like hours. The planet quaked, threatening to shatter entirely. Yet the human crew worked seamlessly, improvising solutions where rigid protocols failed, adapting to each new variable as it arose. The queen observed silently, her many eyes fixed on the unfolding scenario. A faint shimmer moved across her scales as she watched humans coordinate, improvise, and innovate in ways that no alien system had anticipated. Suddenly, an energy spike threatened to destabilize the planetary core. "We can't stop it with conventional methods," one engineer shouted. Ilara's mind raced. "Then we do it unconventionally," she exclaimed. She rerouted auxiliary energy lines, combined two systems that were never designed to interact, and applied a feedback loop in a sequence that no alien engineer would predict. The planet shuddered violently, then, slowly, began to stabilize. Cracks ceased spreading, energy flows smoothed, and gravity returned to a manageable level. The crisis was averted. The chamber fell silent. Even the hum of machinery seemed to pause as the human crew exhaled collectively. They had done the impossible, not by brute force, not by following rules, but by thinking, adapting, and working together. The Queen finally spoke. Her voice filled with resonance and a new tone, one of approval. You have succeeded where logic alone would fail. You have demonstrated creativity, courage, and collaboration. Your species survives not by perfection, but by understanding, by foresight, and by the unpredictable brilliance of your minds. Ilara stepped forward. That is the human way, she said. We endure because we never stop thinking, never stop acting, and never stop striving for solutions. The Queen's many eyes studied her intently. Few species earn recognition through thought alone. Even fewer earn trust through ingenuity. Humans, you have shown both. I declare that your species is worthy of consideration, of respect, and of partnership. A ripple of relief and awe swept through the human crew. For decades, humans had struggled for recognition in a galaxy full of advanced species. And now the alien Queen, one of the most formidable beings they had ever encountered, had acknowledged their value. Ilara allowed herself a small smile. Thank you, Your Majesty, she said, her voice steady. We will not betray your trust. The Queen's gaze softened ever so slightly, a subtle shimmer moving across her scales. Humans are unpredictable, yes, but in ways that benefit life rather than destroy it. I will extend an offer of alliance. You will have access to our knowledge, our resources, and our guidance. In return, you will share what you have learned, and your species will grow stronger among the stars. Adrian Voss nodded, his pride and relief evident. We accept, Your Majesty. Humanity will honor this alliance. The Queen's eyes lingered on Ilara for a long moment. And you, human engineer, have spoken for your species with courage, wisdom, and clarity. You are a representative of all humans, and your actions have ensured that your kind is no longer underestimated. Remember this moment. Remember the responsibility it carries. Ilara bowed respectfully. I will, Your Majesty. Humanity will not forget. The transmission ended, leaving the horizon bathed in the quiet glow of the stars. The human fleet erupted in cheers and applause, a mixture of relief, pride, and celebration. Crew members hugged each other, laughed, and even shed tears. They had faced the impossible and emerged recognized, respected, and trusted. Commander Adrian Voss approached Ilara, placing a hand on her shoulder. You did it, he said simply. You showed them what humans are capable of. Ilara shook her head slightly, smiling. We did it. Not me alone. All of us working together. That is what humans do. Across the fleet, human ships began preparing to establish initial collaborations with the Veilurians. Scientists and engineers would exchange knowledge. Diplomats would formalize treaties. And explorers would set out to learn from a species far more advanced than humanity had ever encountered. But Ilara knew that the greatest lesson had already been proven. Humans were more than their technology, more than their fleets. They were thinkers, innovators, adapters, and problem solvers. Their greatest strength was their mind, and the courage to act upon it. The stars stretched endlessly outside, glittering with possibilities. Humanity had proven its worth, and the galaxy was beginning to recognize it. They were no longer the underdogs, the fragile explorers on the edge of known space. They were a species capable of greatness, ready to rise to every challenge the universe could offer. Ilara stood on the observation deck, watching the alien fleet move gracefully through the void. The Queen's presence had been commanding, terrifying, and awe-inspiring, yet humanity had prevailed. And in that triumph, Ilara felt a deep sense of pride, not in herself alone, but in every human who had ever dared to dream, to explore, and to survive. Humanity will rise, she whispered softly to the stars, and the galaxy will never forget us. The crew of the Horizon looked at her, seeing not just an engineer but a symbol of what humanity could achieve when courage met creativity, when intelligence met determination, and when a single voice spoke for an entire species. The alien Queen had demanded an answer. And humanity had spoken, with ingenuity, with courage, and with the undeniable brilliance of the human mind. The galaxy was watching, and humanity had proven that they were worthy. The sun of Viridian 9 cast a soft golden light across the jagged cliffs of the northern plateau. The wind howled over the alien landscape, carrying with it a faint metallic scent. Among the rocky ridges, a small human research team had set up their base, a cluster of modular habitats and research labs surrounded by reinforced fences. Ilara moved carefully across the plateau, her boots crunching against the red-brown stones. She was the team's lead engineer, known for her curiosity and ingenuity. Her dark hair was tied back, and her goggles reflected the strange light of the planet. Today, she wasn't here for routine checks or experiments. Today she had a purpose, an unshakable pull that had been calling her since she first saw the ruins scattered across Viridian 9. The ruins were ancient, remnants of a civilization long vanished. Towers of twisted metal, shattered walls, and strange statues littered the landscape. To most, they were just relics to be catalogued and studied. But to Alara, they were a challenge. She loved puzzles, machines, and stories hidden in metal. And somewhere, in this forgotten city, she knew there was something extraordinary. Her gaze fell on a half-buried structure. Its outer walls were cracked and covered in alien moss, but through the gaps, she could see a shimmer of metal that was far too polished to have survived centuries without care. Her heart quickened. Alara crouched and began clearing away the debris. Dust rose around her, sparkling in the sunlight. With a grunt, she moved a heavy piece of stone and gasped. There, half buried in the sand, was a suit of armor. Not just any armor. It was intricate, elegant, and unlike anything humans had ever seen. Smooth, reflective surfaces ran along its curves, etched with patterns that seemed alive. Energy lines faintly pulsed across the surface, almost like veins of light. She reached out, brushing her fingers over the cold metal. A thrill ran through her. It was ancient, but powerful. Whoever had worn this armor had been someone important. Her mind raced with possibilities. Could it be ceremonial? Or perhaps designed for combat? Either way, it was beyond anything humans had ever built. Back at the base, Alara worked tirelessly to bring the armor inside. She set up a secure lab, scanning and cataloging every inch. The technology was astonishing. Energy fields, adaptive plating, and an intricate neural interface. Systems that no human could fully understand at first glance. But Alara was determined. She was human after all, and humans had a gift for turning the impossible into reality. Days turned into nights and Alara barely slept. She studied the armor, taking notes, running simulations, and testing small upgrades. First, she reinforced the plating with lightweight alloys, keeping the original design intact. Then she integrated a small energy shield, something humans had been perfecting in spacecraft but never in personal armor. Slowly, carefully, she began improving the ancient artifact without damaging its essence. Her colleagues watched her with a mix of awe and concern. "Alara, this could be dangerous," warned Dr. Hayes, the mission leader. "We don't know who or what made this. You could be tampering with something." "Alive." Alara smiled faintly, shaking her head. "It's not alive. It's technology. And humans learn by experimenting. That's how we grow. This armor is incredible, and I want to understand it." She worked tirelessly, often forgetting to eat or rest. The base became a hive of activity, with engineers assisting her in smaller tasks while she focused on the critical systems. And then one evening, as Viridian 9's twin moons rose over the horizon, the armor came to life. It was subtle at first. The energy lines pulsed brighter, responding to Alara's presence. The neural interface hummed softly, as if recognizing her touch. When she stepped closer, the armor shifted slightly, adapting to her movements. Alara felt a thrill of triumph. She had done it. She had improved something extraordinary without breaking its original power. But somewhere deep beneath the surface of Viridian 9, a different kind of awareness stirred. The ground trembled faintly, almost imperceptibly. A deep, resonant hum echoed through the rock, and an enormous presence shifted in the shadows. The alien queen, Zyra, had sensed the energy of her lost armor. It was familiar, yet altered. Zyra rose in her hive, her massive, iridescent form stretching across the cavern. Her eyes, bright and intelligent, glowed like molten metal. Her warriors paused as she moved, sensing the storm of emotion and power radiating from her. Rage, confusion, and curiosity. The armor was hers. It had always been hers, and yet somehow it was different. Back at the base, Alara was oblivious to the approaching storm. She carefully placed the armor on a specialized stand, marveling at her work. The armor gleamed under the lab lights, elegant and stronger than before. She ran her hands over the adaptive servos she had integrated, feeling a sense of pride. "You're perfect now," she whispered. Suddenly, the base's sensors picked up a massive energy signature approaching from the North Plateau. Lights blinked, alarms hummed softly. Dr. Hayes frowned, analyzing the readings. "That can't be human," he said. "The energy levels are off the charts." Alara's pulse quickened. She stepped outside, looking toward the horizon. A massive shadow moved across the rocky plains. It was enormous, unlike any creature they had ever encountered. Its scales shimmered in shifting colors, and long, curved horns glowed faintly in the twilight. The humans froze as the creature moved closer, elegant and terrifying at the same time. Zira's voice echoed, not through sound, but directly in the minds of the humans, a wave of authority that made their skin crawl. "Who dared improve my armor?" The word sent a shiver down Alara's spine. Her hands instinctively went to her belt, gripping a small tool, but she didn't move. She couldn't. She was staring at a being of immense power, beauty, and authority. Every instinct told her to run, to hide, but curiosity rooted her to the spot. Zira stepped closer, her presence overwhelming. The air seemed to vibrate with her energy. Her eyes focused on Alara, locking with hers. "Explain," the Queen demanded. Her tone was not just a question, it was a challenge. Alara swallowed, her mind racing. She could not lie. I didn't mean to take it," she said. Her voice steady despite the fear. "I found it buried in the ruins. I wanted to understand it, to improve it. I wanted to make it stronger." The alien Queen tilted her head, regarding Alara with a mixture of suspicion and fascination. The human's courage intrigued her. Most creatures would have fled or begged. This one spoke with honesty, with confidence, and with respect. Zira's warriors tensed around her, ready to strike at a signal. But Zira held up a clawed hand. "Curiosity, bravery, foolishness. You are human." Alara's heart pounded. She had no idea what the Queen would do next. Every second stretched, filled with tension. But somewhere beneath the fear, a spark of understanding passed between them. Humans were different. They did not rely solely on power. They improved, they adapted, they dared. The Queen's eyes narrowed slightly, studying the armor behind Alara. "You have tampered with what belongs to me," she said, her voice like a thunderclap. "And yet it is improved." Alara swallowed again, hope rising in her chest. She had done it. She had caught the attention of the most powerful being on this planet, not through force but through ingenuity and respect. Zira's gaze lingered on the human. "You will show me," she said finally, her tone leaving no room for argument. "You will show me why my armor is stronger in your hands, and then I will decide your fate." Alara felt a rush of adrenaline. This was beyond anything she had imagined. She was no longer simply a researcher. She had entered a game of intelligence, skill, and courage, and the stakes were higher than she could have imagined. As the twin moons of Viridian 9 climbed higher, casting silvery light over the plateau, Alara prepared herself. The discovery of the ancient armor was only the beginning. The challenge from the alien Queen had begun, and in this moment she realized something important. Humans had a strength beyond what anyone expected. The courage to create, to improve, and to face the unknown. This was the start of a story that would change everything, for her, for humanity, and for the alien world she had just begun to explore. The night on Viridian 9 was colder than usual. The wind swept across the plateau with a mournful howl, rattling the fences of the human base. Inside the command room, alarms still blinked with warnings about the massive energy signature that had arrived at their doorstep. Every human in the base was tense, their eyes moving from the holographic screens to the dark horizon beyond the windows. But no one could look away from the towering figure of Queen Zira. She stood in the middle of the compound, surrounded by her own warriors. Her body shimmered with a strange glow, the light flowing across her iridescent scales like liquid fire. Her presence filled the air with both fear and awe. To the humans, she seemed like a living storm. The soldiers stationed at the base had instinctively raised their weapons, but Dr. Hayes quickly ordered them to stand down. Everyone knew, if this being wanted them gone, no weapon they had could stop her. The only person who did not shrink back was Alara. Alara stepped forward slowly, her boots clicking against the metallic flooring of the base's courtyard. Her heart pounded, but she forced herself to keep her gaze locked on Zira's piercing eyes. The alien Queen's warriors shifted uneasily, their blades shimmering with energy, but they did not move until their queen commanded it. "You claim to have improved my armor," Zira said, her voice ringing through the minds of every human present. I felt its pulse change. "Its song is not the same. You have touched what is mine. Ilara's throat was dry, but she lifted her chin. I found it in the ruins, she said steadily. It was buried, broken, almost forgotten. I did not steal it. I studied it. I respected it. I wanted to make it stronger. The humans behind her exchanged nervous glances. Speaking so boldly to an alien queen was unthinkable, but Zira did not lash out. Instead, her golden eyes narrowed in thought. Stronger? She repeated, her tone carrying both suspicion and curiosity. My people perfected that armor through centuries of battle. You think your fragile hands can improve what was already beyond you? Ilara hesitated, then took a small breath. Yes, she said firmly. Humans always try to improve. It is how we survive. A strange silence followed. The alien queen tilted her head, studying the young human engineer as though she were an unusual specimen. Then slowly a sharp smile spread across Zira's face, neither cruel nor kind but filled with challenge. Then prove it, Zira said. Her voice thundered in the minds of all who listened. If you are bold enough to touch my legacy, then you will prove your worth in the ancient way. Ilara frowned. Ancient way? She asked cautiously. Zira gestured toward the north where the dark cliffs rose like jagged teeth against the night sky. The proving grounds. A place where only the worthy walk out alive. If your improvements are as great as you claim, you will survive the trials within. You will wear the armor. You will show me that your hands have not merely tampered, but truly elevated. Gasps rippled through the humans. Dr. Hayes stepped forward quickly. Wait, she's just an engineer. You can't expect her to walk into something meant for warriors. Zira's golden eyes flashed, silencing him instantly. It is not your choice, human leader. It is hers. All eyes turned to Ilara. Her pulse roared in her ears. Fear pressed heavily in her chest, yet she felt a spark of determination burn brighter. She had touched the armor. She had dared to alter it. Now she had to defend her choice. Slowly she nodded. I accept, Ilara said, her voice clear despite the tremor in her hands. Zira inclined her head in approval, then raised her clawed hand. The air rippled as a massive transport beast approached, a creature covered in shimmering plates like molten glass. Zira climbed onto its back, her warriors following swiftly. With a simple gesture, she commanded Ilara to follow. Dr. Hayes caught Ilara's arm. Are you mad? You don't even know what's waiting in those cliffs. Ilara managed a small, tired smile. I know, but if we back down now, we'll never earn her respect. This is our only chance. Hayes wanted to argue, but he saw the determination in her eyes. He let go. Then at least come back alive, he said quietly. The journey to the proving grounds was long and silent. The transport beast carried the queen and her warriors across the barren plains, with Ilara following in a smaller crawler vehicle. Above them the stars glittered, distant and cold. Finally they reached the cliffs. The ground here glowed faintly with veins of crystal, casting eerie light across the towering stone formations. At the base of the cliff stood a massive gate, carved with alien symbols. The gate shimmered with energy as Zira approached, and with a single gesture it opened, revealing a passage into darkness. This is where you prove yourself, Zira said, her voice echoing against the stone. Inside, the trials await. They will test your strength, your mind, and your will. Fail, and the proving grounds will claim you. Ilara swallowed hard but nodded. I'm ready. Zira's golden eyes gleamed. Then take the armor, wear it. Show me what you have done. Ilara's heart skipped a beat as the warriors brought forth the suit of armor she had improved. It gleamed under the strange crystal light, pulsing faintly as if alive. She reached out with trembling hands and touched it. The armor responded immediately, unfolding to wrap around her body. The plating locked into place, the servos hummed, and the energy lines flared brighter than ever before. The suit felt heavy at first, but then it adjusted, balancing perfectly with her movements. She took a deep breath, feeling stronger, faster, and sharper than ever. For the first time, she wasn't just an engineer, she was something more. Zira's gaze lingered on her for a long moment. Then she stepped aside. Enter. Ilara walked through the gate. Darkness swallowed her instantly, but the armor's sensors adjusted, casting a faint blue glow. The passage ahead was narrow, carved with strange patterns that seemed to move when she wasn't looking. Every step echoed, reminding her that she was alone. The first trial came quickly. The floor shifted, breaking apart into floating platforms suspended above a chasm of endless darkness. Ilara froze, her stomach twisting. But the armor pulsed, scanning the platforms. It displayed possible paths across. Ilara smiled faintly. This is where human innovation helps. She used her knowledge of mechanics, calculating distances and weight limits, then moved carefully. Step by step she crossed, her heart racing but her mind focused. The second trial tested her mind. Strange holograms appeared, shifting symbols and patterns, forming an impossible puzzle. It was a language she did not know, yet the armor helped her process the data. Still, it was Ilara's human intuition that cracked the code. Where logic alone failed, she saw patterns hidden in chaos. The hologram shifted and the path opened. The third trial was the hardest. Alien constructs emerged from the shadows. Guardians made of light and metal, moving with lethal precision. They attacked without hesitation. Ilara raised her hands instinctively and the armor's shield activated, deflecting the first strike. Panic threatened to overwhelm her, but she forced herself to focus. She wasn't a soldier, but she was an engineer. Instead of trying to fight the constructs directly, she analyzed their movements, their power sources, their weaknesses. She used the armor's adaptive servos to move unpredictably, throwing off their patterns. One by one, she outsmarted them, forcing them to overload and collapse into sparks. By the time she reached the final chamber, Ilara was breathing hard, sweat dripping down her face inside the helmet. But she was alive. She had survived. The last chamber was vast, its walls glowing with ancient light. At the center stood a tall crystalline obelisk, pulsing with energy. The armor resonated with it, humming like a tuning fork. Ilara stepped closer, raising her hand. The obelisk flared brightly, scanning her, judging her. For a long moment, nothing happened. Then slowly, the chamber filled with a low, harmonious sound. Approval. The obelisk dimmed, leaving a clear path forward. Ilara stepped out of the proving grounds into the cold night air. Her armor gleamed with renewed energy. Zira was waiting. Her eyes narrowed slightly as she studied Ilara. The human was still standing, stronger than when she had entered. The queen's voice thundered softly in the air. "You survived." Ilara, exhausted but smiling faintly, nodded. "I proved it." For the first time, Zira's sharp smile softened, her expression almost unreadable. "Perhaps you have." The night had passed, and Viridian Nine's twin moons cast a pale silver light across the jagged cliffs of the proving grounds. Ilara stood at the edge of the plateau, her improved armor humming softly as if alive. She could feel its energy flowing through her veins, guiding her movements. Every fiber of the suit worked in harmony with her body. But she knew this was only the beginning. The real test had yet to come. Queen Zira observed her from a distance, towering over her warriors. Her eyes glimmered with an unreadable emotion. She had watched Ilara navigate the first trials with cautious interest. Now the next phase would push the human to her limits, not just physically but mentally and emotionally. "You survived the gates." Zira's voice resonated across the plateau, deep and commanding. Few creatures even reach this point. "But now you must show me what it means to understand, to adapt, and to honor what you touch. Only then will your claim hold merit." Ilara straightened her back, adjusting the armor. Its servos shifted smoothly, responding to her intent. She felt a mixture of fear and excitement. This is what humans do, she reminded herself. We face the impossible, and we keep moving forward. Zira's warriors formed a perimeter, stepping aside to reveal a narrow canyon, shrouded in mist. Strange alien glyphs glimmered faintly along the walls, pulsing with an energy that felt almost alive. "This is the Labyrinth of Echoes," Zira explained. "It tests not only your strength but your wisdom and understanding. Many enter with brute force and arrogance. Few survive with insight." Ilara inhaled deeply, stepping into the mist. The moment she crossed the threshold, the canyon shifted. Walls moved, paths changed, and strange holographic images flickered into existence. It was impossible to predict which path would lead forward. Every choice felt critical. The first test was deceptively simple. A series of platforms hovered above a dark void, each inscribed with alien symbols. At first glance, it looked like a puzzle of alignment. Ilara carefully studied the glyphs, noting subtle differences in their shapes and brightness. She realized that the symbols responded to movement and weight. Using her engineering knowledge, she calculated the correct sequence. She stepped onto the first platform. The armor hummed, stabilizing her balance. Each step forward required careful thought. One wrong move and the platform might vanish or collapse. But she moved with patience, measuring her weight and timing each step perfectly. Halfway across, a platform tilted dangerously. Ilara held her breath, adjusting her stance. The armor's adaptive servos responded instantly, Shifting her center of gravity, she made it across without incident, her heart pounding in exhilaration. Even in moments of fear, she found clarity. This was the essence of human ingenuity, staying calm, observing carefully, and acting decisively. The second trial was far more challenging. The canyon walls began to shift, forming a maze of moving corridors. Strange lights flashed across the walls, creating illusions that disoriented her senses. Holographic projections of alien creatures appeared, moving swiftly, disappearing before she could touch them. Ilara realized this test was not about combat. It was about perception. The holograms were a distraction. The real path lay hidden beneath layers of illusion. She slowed her pace, letting instinct guide her. She noticed patterns in the light pulses, a rhythm that revealed the true path. Every step was calculated, every movement deliberate. The armor amplified her awareness, but it was her mind that decoded the labyrinth. Hours seemed to pass in the shifting corridors. The air grew thin and cold, and fatigue tugged at her muscles. Her breathing became heavy inside the helmet, but she pushed forward. Humans had always survived harsh conditions by adapting, and she would not fail now. Every challenge was an opportunity to prove her worth. The third test was the hardest yet. The walls of the canyon opened to a vast chamber, filled with strange constructs. They were towering machines of unknown origin, made of shimmering crystal and metal, their movements precise and lethal. As soon as Ilara stepped forward, they activated, their energy blades sweeping across the chamber with deadly accuracy. Her instinct screamed to fight. But the armor was not just for protection, it was a tool. Ilara studied the constructs carefully. She noticed the patterns in their attacks, the tiny delays between their strikes, the way their energy cores pulsed. She began to move, not with brute force, but with strategy. The armor amplified her movements, letting her dodge and weave with ease. But she did more than that. Using her engineering knowledge, she noticed a weak point in one of the constructs, a junction where energy lines crossed. With precise timing, she struck it with a small energy tool integrated into the suit. Sparks flew and the construct collapsed. The other machines reacted immediately, adjusting their patterns. Ilara adapted just as quickly. She ran, jumped, and dodged, striking at their weak points with calculated precision. The chamber became a symphony of motion, metal, and energy. Finally, after what felt like hours, the last construct fell. Ilara stood in the center of the chamber, her armor glowing faintly from exertion. She had survived not through raw strength, but through observation, analysis, and adaptability. She had done what the Queen demanded, proved that humans could elevate technology without destroying its essence. But the test was not over. From the shadows of the chamber, a figure emerged, a projection of the ancient armor's original wearer. Its form was majestic and powerful, radiating authority and history. The projection spoke in a language Ilara did not understand, but the meaning was clear. She had to honor the legacy of the armor she had improved. Ilara took a deep breath. She remembered every detail she had studied, every line, every pattern, every pulse. She moved slowly, performing the rituals of respect she had learned from ancient texts and holographic recordings. She did not touch the projection aggressively. Instead, she let the armor shine as a bridge between the past and the present. The chamber pulsed with light, the constructs dismantling themselves as if acknowledging her actions. The projection nodded slowly, a gesture of approval, and vanished. Ilara felt a strange warmth inside the suit, a recognition of her understanding, her respect, and her courage. Finally, she reached the end of the labyrinth of echoes. The canyon opened to a plateau bathed in the light of the twin moons. Queen Zira waited, her warriors forming a circle around her. The alien queen's gaze was sharp, studying Ilara with renewed interest. "You have survived," Zira said, her voice low and commanding. "And yet survival alone is not enough. You have understood. You have adapted. You have respected what you touched. This is rare among all creatures I have known." Ilara lowered her helmet slightly, exhausted but triumphant. "I only did what humans do," she said quietly. "We learn. We improve. We respect what is strong by making it stronger." A faint smile appeared on Zira's face. It was subtle, almost imperceptible, but it was there. Then perhaps, "Your kind is not as weak as I believed," she said. "Your hands have elevated my legacy, and in doing so you have shown me something new, a strength I have not seen before." Ilara felt her chest swell with pride. She had done more than survive the tests. She had demonstrated the human spirit, curiosity, ingenuity, courage, and respect. She had shown that even against a being as powerful as the alien queen, humans could stand tall. Zira stepped forward, her massive form casting a shadow over Alara. "Come closer," she said. "Let me see the improvements you have made. Show me what you have done with my armor." Alara approached carefully, her hands tracing the lines and energy pulses of the suit. The armor responded immediately, highlighting the areas she had reinforced, the energy systems she had integrated. Zira's eyes widened slightly, a rare expression of astonishment crossing her face. "You dared to touch what was sacred," Zira said, her voice softening. "And yet, you honored it." "That is rare," Alara met the Queen's gaze. "I did not want to take it. I wanted to understand it, to help it reach its potential. That is what humans do. We do not fear improvement. We embrace it." For a long moment, silence filled the plateau. The wind blew gently across the cliffs, carrying the faint hum of the armor. Then finally Zira spoke. "You may have survived the labyrinth of echoes, but your journey has only begun. There are still trials beyond these cliffs, tests of wisdom and courage. Only then will your true strength be revealed." Alara nodded, determination burning in her eyes. The labyrinth had tested her body and mind. The next trials would test her heart, her spirit, and her resolve. She had proven that humans could rise to challenges no one else could, and she would continue to prove it step by step against the unknown. As the first light of dawn touched the plateau, Alara looked up at the twin moons. She felt stronger, braver, and more alive than ever. The alien queen had not only challenged her, but had also given her the chance to show humanity's true power. Ingenuity, courage, and the ability to improve even the greatest of legacies. And with that, Alara prepared herself for the next trial, knowing that every step forward was a step into history, a history where humans dared to reach beyond their limits and stand proud in the face of the unknown. The air on the plateau was still heavy with tension. Alara stood at the edge of a vast chasm, her armor glowing faintly under the pale light of Viridian 9's twin moons. She could feel the pulse of the improved suit, each energy line flowing in harmony with her heartbeat. Every step she took was precise, balanced, a combination of human ingenuity and alien technology. But she knew this was no longer about survival or skill. The final test awaited her. Queen Zira's massive form descended from the cliffs above, her wings folding elegantly behind her. The alien warriors remained in a disciplined circle around her, their eyes never leaving Alara. Zira's scales shimmered with a shifting glow, the light reflecting her mood, her thoughts, and her curiosity. The alien queen was not angry, not yet, but there was a weight to her gaze that made Alara's chest tighten. "You have survived the labyrinth of echoes," Zira said, her voice a thunderous echo across the plateau. "You have demonstrated adaptability, understanding, and respect. But now we meet face to face. You will show me what it truly means to improve, to honor, and to stand against me." Alara swallowed. Her hands rested on the armor's reinforced plating. She had learned to trust it, to let it respond to her instincts. But she knew that this confrontation was unlike anything she had faced before. This was not a puzzle, not a test of skill. It was a test of courage, integrity, and human spirit. "Your Majesty," Alara said, her voice steady despite the tremor she felt inside. "I am ready. I did not touch your armor to defy you. I did it to learn to honor its power and to protect it. If my improvements serve no purpose, then I will accept your judgment." Zira tilted her massive head, considering the words carefully. For a moment, the plateau was silent except for the distant hum of the improved armor. The Queen's golden eyes glimmered with a mixture of curiosity and amusement. "You speak boldly for one so small," she said. "Do you truly understand the gravity of your actions? This armor is not a toy. It carries the strength of my ancestors, the battles of centuries. You claim to improve it, and yet you have never faced the weight of its history." Alara stepped forward, letting the armor adjust to her movement. "I know its history. I have studied it, and I believe that respect does not mean fear. It means understanding. We honor what is strong by making it stronger, not by hiding from it." Zira's wings spread slightly, creating a shadow that stretched across the plateau. "Very well," she said. "Then let us see if your words hold truth. Show me the improvements you have made. Let us see if your hands honor my legacy or defile it." Alara felt her pulse quicken. She reached out to the armor, letting it shift and adapt to her movements. Every line of energy pulsed in response, highlighting the areas she had reinforced and enhanced. The adaptive servos moved fluidly, balancing speed, strength, and efficiency. The energy shield she had integrated glimmered faintly, ready to respond to any threat. Zira stepped closer, her massive claws leaving impressions in the rocky ground. She circled Alara, examining the suit from every angle. Her eyes narrowed in concentration as she studied each modification, each reinforcement, each line of human ingenuity carefully woven into the ancient design. "You have dared to change what was sacred," Zira said, her voice carrying both accusation and admiration, "and yet, you have preserved its essence." "That is unusual," Alara nodded. "I did not want to replace its power. I wanted to enhance it so it could endure, protect, and adapt. That is what humans do. We respect what is strong by making it stronger." For the first time, a flicker of approval crossed the Queen's eyes. She stepped back, folding her wings neatly behind her. Most would have acted out of fear, arrogance, or greed. You have acted with courage and understanding. Tell me, human, do you think your kind is capable of more than survival? Alara hesitated. Her gaze swept across the plateau, the alien warriors, and the twin moons. She felt the weight of her species, of humanity itself. "Yes," she said finally. "Humans are not the strongest by nature, but we are creators, thinkers, and learners. We face the unknown, adapt, and grow. That is our strength. That is why we survive, and why we can improve even what seems perfect." Zira's eyes glimmered with interest as if she were seeing something for the first time. The alien warriors whispered among themselves, uncertain, cautious, but respectful. The Queen's voice carried once more, resonant and commanding. "Very well," she said. "If your words are true, then let us test them. I will wear the armor and you will guide it. You will show me that your enhancements serve their purpose and respect the strength of its original form." Alara felt a shiver of awe. The Queen herself would wear the armor she had improved. This was a moment that would define the future of humanity on Viridian 9, and perhaps beyond. "Are you ready?" Zira asked. Alara nodded. "Yes, I'm ready." Zira stepped forward, her massive form carefully approaching the armor. As she began to lift the suit onto her shoulders, the energy lines pulsed brighter. The armor adjusted to her alien physiology, flowing over her scales and contours in a way Alara had not anticipated. It was almost as if the suit recognized its true master, yet accepted the human improvements. The Queen moved, testing the mobility of the suit. The armor shifted seamlessly with her, responding to her strength and movements. Alara guided her subtly, ensuring that the enhancements did not overpower the natural abilities of the original design. Every servo, every energy pulse, every shield adjustment was fine-tuned in real time. Zira's eyes narrowed as she studied Alara. "You have done more than improve my armor," she said. "You have created a bridge between our worlds, between my legacy and your ingenuity. That is unexpected." Alara felt her chest swell with pride. The armor was no longer hers. It was something greater, something that combined the essence of two species. "That is exactly what humans do," she said. "We honor what is strong by making it stronger, by building on what came before. That is how we survive, how we grow, how we endure." A faint hum filled the plateau as the Queen moved with the armor fully integrated into her form. It glowed softly, resonating with the power of both Zira and Alara's enhancements. The alien warriors watched in awe. The humans at the base, observing remotely, held their breath. Zira finally stopped, turning to face Alara fully. "You have proven yourself," she said, her voice softer than before. "Not by strength alone, but by wisdom, courage, and respect. Your kind may indeed possess qualities worthy of acknowledgement." Alara bowed slightly, feeling a mixture of relief and triumph. She had not only survived the trials, but had shown humanity's true potential. She realized then that strength was not just in muscle, weapons, or technology. It was in creativity, courage, and the willingness to improve. "Your Majesty," she said, "I am honored that you accept my work. But it is not just mine. Humans are capable of great things when we combine our curiosity with respect. That is why I hope we can learn from each other, and perhaps build a future together." Zira's gaze softened, her glowing eyes reflecting a hint of approval and something else, curiosity about this remarkable species. "You speak boldly," she said, her voice calm and commanding. "But your words align with your actions, perhaps Your kind is not only clever but worthy of consideration. I will think on this carefully. Ilara felt a sense of hope blossom within her. The Queen's respect was not easily earned, and yet here it was. For the first time, a being far more powerful than any human had acknowledged the potential of human ingenuity. Zira stepped back, the armor still glowing faintly on her body. Your trials are not yet fully complete, she said. But today you have proven something important. Humans are capable of understanding, adapting, and improving. That is a rare strength, one that I will remember. Ilara nodded, feeling the weight of the moment. She had faced fear, danger, and the unknown, and had emerged not just alive but respected. The armor had become more than a tool or a relic. It had become a symbol of collaboration, ingenuity, and the human spirit. As the plateau glowed under the first light of dawn, Ilara realized that this confrontation was not the end. It was a beginning. She had earned the Queen's attention, perhaps even her respect, and in that respect lay the seed of a greater alliance, a bridge between humans and the alien species of Viridian 9. With the Queen's approval lingering in the air, Ilara felt a surge of determination. The next trials would be harder, the challenges greater, but she knew that humans had something special, the courage to face the impossible, and the ingenuity to turn it into opportunity. And so, under the twin moons and the gaze of the alien Queen, Ilara prepared herself for the trials yet to come, ready to prove once again that humans could rise to any challenge, improve even the greatest legacies, and stand proud in the face of the unknown.